Hey everybody, sorry for the noise. I have a very short and important point to sharpen in regards to giving psychological first aid to people in critical incidents. So let's say you went to a fatal fire, car accident, terrorist attack, something terrible, devastating happened, and you show up as the person helping those who are involved. And you see people that may need your help. So how do you help them? So the answer is you take a course, you train in psychological first aid, and that has to be an intensive, thorough course. God willing, we hope to unleash our new course soon, so get on the mailing list. But you give psychological first aid. That's the simple answer on one foot, but the question is, within psychological first aid, what do you do? There are many parts to psychological first aid, and there's a reason why I'm making this video now, because sometimes you see things in situations and people, and it gets you to want to teach everybody a point that people don't always get. So without getting into those details, there is a more invasive, complex way of giving psychological first aid, and those are somewhat clinical interventions that are very, very tailored for symptoms that a person is experiencing. So let's say you see somebody who just witnessed a fatal car accident or shooting, and they are dissociating, they are hypo-aroused or hyper-aroused. They are not acting like themselves, they cannot think for themselves, they're foggy, they're confused. There is a whole special set of complex, advanced psychological first aid interventions to help those types of people in those types of situations. And you learn all the advanced methods of helping people in those bad situations, and you pull out from your toolbox what you need for this person and this symptom and that symptom. And that's a very advanced level of psychological first aid. Fine. But if that's not the case, and what you see instead in front of you is a person who's crying, a person who's sad, a person who's shocked, you don't have to fix that, and you don't do clinical interventions, and you don't be pushy, and you don't be invasive. Invasive is to invade. We don't invade people's privacy and free will when they are fine and stand alone sufficiently by themselves, when they have self-efficacy, when they're put together. We don't have to knock down their door and offer them help and ram it down their throats. We want to help people when they can't help themselves in an invasive fashion, because that's the only way they can be helped and then become themselves again, come back to the here and now, and do what they have to do. But if they're just crying, or they're just sad, and they're just devastated because the worst day of their life just happened and they saw the worst things, just be there with them. Just do the simplest, most rudimentary level of psychological first aid possible. So if you had to boil all of psychological first aid down to 3 words, this is not my abbreviation, it's from the World Health Organization, 3 words: look, listen, and link. It's literally that simple on the lowest level of PFA, of psychological first aid. Look, listen, link means I see somebody in front of me. I see and assess how they're doing, and I try to conceptualize what they need. I also ask them directly what they need in order to get through this, and then I try to connect them to that. So it's look, I look at them, listen, I listen to what they need, but I also look myself at what they need. I make some sort of a assessment now. I say, oh, they need A, they need B, they need C. And then link as I go and connect them to those resources within reason, within my ability to connect them to those things, okay? So we don't want to give too high of a dose of medicine, of psychological first aid. Sometimes people just need to be offered help, and they'll decline it, and you showed that you were there for them, and that's sufficient. Sometimes they need to be hid from the media and the paparazzi, and that's sufficient. Sometimes they need a glass of water, a phone to make a phone call. It's literally that simple. That's all they need, okay? So let's make sure to match the level of intervention to the level of need. It doesn't have to be more than that. Let's not overdo it, and let's hope for good things. The world should not see any more terrible events. We should only hear good news.